Okay, friends, welcome. Happy 2021. It's wonderful to see all of your faces. Good to meet you guys. Those that I don't know, I'm Caroline. I recently graduated through Joy and Jill's teacher training last October with a few of my friends here. So thanks for being here, everybody. I've been given permission to take off my mask as long as I stay on the mat. So that way I can project my voice a little bit more. So we're going to actually start on our backs today. It will be helpful. I know props are limited. It will be helpful to have 2 blocks, a blanket, and a strap if you happen to have it. But we're going to get started in a supine position. So go ahead and roll over, find your way to your back. And whatever feels good for you, I'm going to actually stay seated, but you find a comfortable spot for you, maybe a blanket under the head. Your legs can be extended or knees can be bent, whatever's best for your body. And just settle into the mat here, get comfortable, and settle your shoulders into the mat. Just begin to settle into stillness. You may have noticed that the title of my class is related to happy hips. And so just yes, emphasis on the hips today, as they do deserve our attention. Not only can flexible hips ease back pain, improve circulation, among other things, but they can also be a place to store stress and house negative emotions. So emotions such as fear, guilt, sadness. So sometimes when we don't know quite what to do with a feeling or an experience, sometimes we might unintentionally put that there in the pelvis. And so with today's practice, I would invite you to really pay attention to your body and notice what emotions arise. Notice where and how they land, and not to judge this, but to simply observe. And to begin this observation, go ahead and just do a quick mental body scan. You can start at your toes and work your way all the way up to the crown of your head, just scanning the body for areas of tightness, areas of tension, and see if you can send the breath to those areas. Maybe you check in with the body's energy. And let's begin to check in with the breath. So notice where that lands. Notice how that feels. Pay attention to the pace. Let's try a 3-part breath. So on your next inhale, try to fill the belly and the ribs and the chest. So all the way up. And on your exhale, simply release back through the heart, the ribs, the belly. And if this resonates with you, feel free to try this just for a few rounds. If not, that's okay. You're welcome to resume whatever breath is best for you. If it's helpful for you to feel that rise and fall sensation, you're welcome to place your hands on your belly. And perhaps you use this breath to help you anchor your attention inward. Take a few more rounds, deepening the breath. Perhaps you consider what you want out of this experience today. Maybe you tie that to an intention that you could set for the day or for the week. And if that's not something you want to do, that's okay. You can simply focus on the breath. That is enough. Go ahead and take 5 more rounds of breath. Notice if you're able to stay present. Notice if your thoughts are trying to interfere. See if you can watch those float away without attaching to them, without creating stories about them. And when you are ready, before we come to a seat, just make some small intuitive movement. So whatever that looks like for you, maybe you wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, roll your wrists, whatever works for you. And we're actually going to begin by staying on our back. Our first posture is going to be extended big toe pose. So if you have a strap, now is the time to gather it. Have it on somewhere along the right side of your body. And on your next in-breath, we're going to draw the right knee in towards your chest. Give it a small squeeze. And then as you exhale, if you have a strap, that's perfect. If not, that's also perfect. If you're using the strap, loop the strap over your right toe mound. If you're not using a strap, feel free to grab the back of the thigh here to support your leg as it extends. So take a breath here, softening into the mat. Release the shoulders. And then decide if you want to keep your left leg bent or extended here. So notice how the stretch is and what you want to do. And then on your next exhale, we're simply going to slide the strap in the right hand and lower the right leg towards the right. So it lowers to the ground or somewhere in between. You're also welcome to use your right arm as a little bit of a prop for the leg. It could be a shelf. So leg can come down as far as you want it to. Be mindful of your left hip here. Notice if it's trying to pop off the ground, press into it. Or if it's not, keep that left arm extended on the ground, palm pressing into the ground. And then on your next inhale, lift the leg back to center and slide the strap into the left hand as you lower the leg over and across the body to the left. Right arm now can remain extended. Again, checking in, making sure that you're focusing on the breath and what your body needs. And then next in breath, simply bring the leg back up. Beautiful. Exhale, release the strap as you bend the leg and send it to meet the left. So both legs are extended. Take a second to simply pause here, noticing the difference on this side. And then when you're ready, next in-breath, bring the left knee towards the chest, give it a squeeze. And again, if you're using that strap, loop the strap over your left toe mound as you extend the leg. If you're not using a strap, feel free to grab the back of the thigh, or if you're really flexible, maybe you grab the foot with both hands. Full breath here. Decide whether you want to keep that right leg extended or bent. Next, exhale, slide the strap into the left hand as you lower the leg to the left. Take a full round of breath here. Again, notice if that right hip is popping up. You might need to physically press down into it. Inhale, lift the leg back up. And then exhale, slide the strap in the right hand as you lower the leg over and across the body. Left arm extends to the ground, palm presses into the floor. Next in-breath, let's bring the leg back up and gently release the strap. And re-extend your left leg so it meets the right. Take a second to pause, noticing the difference on this side. And when you're ready, we're gonna re-bend the knees. So your soles of the feet are gonna be pressing into the mat. So one last time, inhale, draw your right knee towards your chest. This time, moving to supine pigeon, we're going to turn the leg so that the right ankle lands on top of the left knee. You can stay here, or if you want more stretch, you're welcome to lift your left leg and grab somewhere along the back of the thigh or perhaps the shin. Full round of breath here. And when you're ready, go ahead and gently release that left leg if it was lifted, and we'll switch sides. So inhale, drawing that left knee in towards the chest, giving it a squeeze, and then exhaling, placing that ankle on top of the right knee. Stay here or lift that right leg, grabbing the back of the thigh. Maybe you play with the position on this side. Maybe you grab behind the knee instead. Keep your both feet flexed here. And when you're ready, gently release that right leg back to the mat and uncross the leg. And let's inhale, draw our knees towards our chest and grab behind the knee, cross the ankles here, and we're gonna rock and roll all the way up to a seat. So go ahead and create some momentum, rock and roll all the way up. And then we're going to roll over and find a tabletop position. Feel free to use a blanket underneath the knees if you would like to use that. And we'll go ahead and first check in with our alignment here. Make sure your shoulders are over your wrists and your hips are over your ankles. We'll do a few cat-cows to begin. So go ahead and inhale, lift the chin as you arch the spine for cow. Exhale, draw the chin towards the chest as you round the spine for cat. And do about 3 to 4 rounds here, matching the movement with your breath. And when you're ready, return to a neutral spine. And we'll go ahead and move to some hip circles. So slide your hands just an inch or so forward. And then let's inhale and rotate our hips forward and around. Exhale, roll them back and around. So you're completing the circle here. Do about 4 rounds in each direction. Just noticing how this feels in your hips. When you're ready, return to a neutral spine. And we'll go ahead and tuck your back toes and lift your knees as we send the hips all the way up for downward facing dog. So hips are lifting high here, but you're also simultaneously pressing your heels into the mat. But that does not mean your heels have to land on the mat. And keep your legs engaged here. Gaze is somewhere in between your knees. And we'll go ahead and move to plank. So on your next exhale, simply roll forward to plank. Shoulders come over wrists. Not going to stay here. We're going to immediately float back to down dog. So we're going to do this 3 to 4 more times. So go at your own pace here. And when you're ready and you're done with that, meet me in downward facing dog. Next in breath, simply look forward and hop, step, or jump to the top of your mat here for forward fold. We'll inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Let's inhale and rise all the way up. Palms eventually touch and float to heart center. Inhale, let's lift the arms all the way up. Exhale, swan dive forward. And we'll step back. So moving through our first vinyasa, go ahead and find plank and chaturanga. So exhaling, keeping your elbows tucked towards your body, simply lower and inhale your version. Cobra, baby cobra, whatever is good for you. And then exhale, find downward facing dog when you're ready. And then from here, we'll go ahead and release the knees to your blanket or the mat here. And then we'll come to standing on our knees. So feel free to leave your hands on your hips. You can tuck your back toes or not. And we're going to create a mudra with our hands here. So your index fingers and thumbs are going to be pressing together. Let's inhale, extend our arms up. Turn this into a side bend. So go ahead and on your exhale, side bend to the right. Beautiful. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, release your hands to your hips. And let's draw our attention to our right knee. We're going to lift that leg up and slide the right foot forward to the top of our mat for Anjaneyasana, low lunge. So from here, if you have blocks, you can use them here. If not, that's okay. Your back toe is going to remain. Back toes can be tucked or untucked. And let's keep our hands on the ground for just a second while we kind of settle into this pose. See if you can release the back of your pelvis down and check in just to make sure that your knee is over your ankle here. You don't want to dump all your weight forward into your shin. So be mindful of that. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and lift our arms all the way out and up. Staying here for just a breath. See if you can soften your shoulders. Go ahead and exhale, float the hands down, back to blocks or the mat. And we'll move to high lunge. So tuck your back toes, lift that back leg for high lunge. So track your right knee forward. Keep your gaze straight ahead. Keep that back leg powered up here. And then on our next exhale, we're going to simply pivot our back heel down. So we're creating a warrior 2 stance with our legs. Then we're going to inhale, rise all the way up. So swivel your arms up here so they land in a horizontal position. So your gaze is going to be over your front fingertips. Your knee is aiming to be 90 degrees, but it's okay if it's not there. Make sure that you can see your big toe. That knee is going to track somewhere along the second and third toe. So we're here in warrior 2, really strong. You guys look great. Exhale, we're going to move to side angle. So bring your right arm down, So it can land on the thigh or a block or the ground here. And then your top arm can extend over your ear. Gaze can be up or down. Take a full breath here. Let's inhale, rise all the way up. We're gonna straighten that front leg, bring your hands to your hips, and pivot your right toes to face the long edge of the mat here. Perfect. So we're just gonna take a breath here before we move to the other side. Actually, let's rest just for a second. So let's go ahead and turn this into a forward fold. So we're just going to come down, hinging at our hips, just taking a second to rest here. You need to bring your feet together a little bit closer, that's fine. You can play around with the positioning. And then let's inhale, root your feet to rise all the way back up. Hands can land on your hips. And we're going to pivot the right toes towards the top of the mat again. And then we're just gonna swivel our arms down, coming back into a high lunge. So we've been here before, not to stay though. We're gonna slide our right foot back and then lift your hips for downward facing dog. Take one full round of breath here. When you're ready, exhale, release your knees to the mat. We're gonna come to standing on our knees once more. So check in, make sure your weight is evenly balanced between both legs here. Let's create that steeple mudra with our hands. Inhale, extend the arms up. And then exhale, side bend to the left. Beautiful. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, release your hands to your hips. And then we're gonna focus our attention to that right leg. So inhale, lift the left leg as you slide the left leg to the top of your mat. I'm just switching sides here, sorry for the confusion. So here we are in Anjaneyasana again. If you're using blocks, go ahead and grab those. First, check in with your alignment. Make sure your knee is over your ankle. Back toes can remain tucked or untucked. See if you can release the back of your pelvis down. Draw your belly in and up. And then let's inhale, lift the arms up. Stay for a full round of breath here. See if you can soften the shoulders. Next, exhale, float the hands to your blocks or the mat. Preparing for that high lunge. So tuck your back toes, lift that back leg, and stay in high lunge for a breath. Gaze is straight ahead of you. Belly button draws towards the spine. And then when you're ready, pivot that back heel down, creating that warrior two stance with the legs, and then rise all the way up into Virabhadrasana 2. So in warrior 2, your hips are square to the long edge of the mat. So check in, make sure that that's happening. Make sure that your knee is tracking towards the middle toe and that you can see your big toe. Take one breath here. And then when you're ready, exhale, side angle. So bring that left arm to the top of the thigh or all the way to the ground. Extend the top arm over your ear. Gaze can be up or down depending on your neck sensitivity. Keep the torso long here. Next inhale, swivel the arms up, straighten that left leg. Bring your hands to your hips. Pivot your toes towards the long edge of the mat. And we're gonna rest again in that wide-legged forward fold. So exhale and hinge at your hips as you fold forward. Taking 2 rounds of breath here. See if you can release your shoulders, the muscles in your neck. Notice the pace of the breath. Has that changed, and how so? On your next in breath, go ahead and we're gonna root your feet to rise all the way up. Hands on hips. And then we're gonna prepare for triangle. So if you know that you need a block, or if you're at home and you're using a stack of books, that's also perfect. You're gonna place your block behind your right ankle. Again, if you're using it, if not, that's okay. And then we'll go ahead and on our next inhale, pivot your right toes towards the short end of your mat. And then inhale, extend your arms out. And then from here, we're gonna hinge at the hips and bring that right hand to your shin or a block or the ground for Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. You can have a micro bend in your right leg. Aiming to rotate your torso towards the ceiling here, making sure there's lots of room for the breath. And from here, we're actually going to move to half moon. So go ahead and bring your top hand to your hip, your left hip. Your gaze is going to come down on the ground in front. And if you're using a block, go ahead and slide the block just a few inches in front of your pinky toe. And again, it's okay if you're not using a block, your hand is just going to land in the same place. And so to begin, we're going to soften and bend that right knee. And then slide your back foot forward about halfway up the mat here. Lift that back heel and lift the leg, the back leg, as you eventually straighten your right leg. So both legs are extended. This is a wobbly pose, so embrace that. Keep your left foot flexed. If you're feeling steady, maybe you lift that top arm and reach those fingertips all the way up to the ceiling. Really root that right leg. Beautiful. Exhale, let's float the top hand down so it meets the right. And we're gonna come to standing splits. So that left leg remains lifted. See if you can even spread your toes while we're here. So you're pouring your weight more and more into that right leg here. So you're tucking your chin, you're drawing your forehead towards the shin. You're also welcome to, with your right hand, grab the calf, or maybe you even grab the ankle here to kind of help pour some of that weight into the right foot. So here, one more breath. See where you can soften. And on your exhale, we're gonna shift back to pyramid. So soften and bend that right leg as you place the back foot towards the back of the mat, eventually straightening both legs here, coming into pyramid. Blocks are really handy here if you have them. We're going to stay here for a breath or two. If the stance is not comfortable, you're welcome to slide your back foot forward here. Toes can point towards the top of the mat, or they can point slightly out. So play around with that. And your hips are square to the top of the mat here, so check in with that. Fold as much as you want here. And when you are ready, we're going to inhale and we're going to step that back foot forward to the top of the mat. And inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. And then let's inhale, rise all the way up. And if you're not facing me, come and face me now. Sorry about that. And then let's exhale, fold forward for Uttanasana. Beautiful. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, fold forward. And then for simplicity's sake, let's go ahead and rise all the way up. Bring your hands to heart center. Take a breath here. And then when you're ready, just go ahead and step to the center of your mat. And we're gonna take the feet about 3 to 4 feet apart. So we're actually gonna do that same sequence on the other side now. So doing triangle on the left. So turn your left toes to face the top of your mat. Arms are, yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah, so your left toes are turning. So we're doing triangle on the left side. Sorry, friends. And we're gonna inhale, extend our arms out to a T here. Again, if you are using that block, make sure the block is just next to that left ankle. So we'll go ahead and exhale, hinge at your hips as you bring that left hand to a block or your shin or the ground. Coming into Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose, keeping the torso long here. Stay here for a breath. And when you're ready, coming to half moon on this side. So go ahead and bring your top hand to your hip. Gaze is gonna float down. If you're using a block, slide the block a few inches in front of your pinky toe. If no block, that's okay. Place your hand there. You're gonna bend into that left leg. Go ahead and slide your back foot halfway up the mat. Lift the back heel and go ahead and lift that back leg off the ground as you straighten both legs, keeping that right foot flexed. Top hand can stay on your hip or it can come all the way up. Fingers reaching towards the ceiling. So our goal is to have our hips stacked here and our chest open. It's okay if you're not there. Really root into that left foot. Press into the 4 corners. And then we'll go ahead and exhale, float the top hand down, coming into that standing splits on the side. So keep your right leg lifted. Maybe you spread those right toes as you keep pouring more weight into your left foot. Stay here, a breath. See what you can soften here. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and slide back to pyramid. So bend the left knee, placing the back foot at the back of the mat. Eventually extending that front leg. So your back foot can reposition if needed. You can shorten your stance. You can slide your toes out if you would rather. Whatever is good for you. Fold as much as you want here. Take one more breath. And on your next inhale, go ahead and lift your back heel. And we're gonna just kind of create some back and forth motion as you step that back foot to meet at the top of the mat. Beautiful. So from here, inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. And inhale, root your feet to rise all the way up. Palms land together and float to heart center. Take a breath. From here, we're gonna inhale, lift the arms out and up. This time we're gonna exhale, bend at the knees as you sink your hips for Utkatasana, chair pose. Stay here for a breath. Keep your thighs engaged. Pull your belly in and up. And from here, we're actually gonna continue sinking. So continue lowering your bum towards the mat And we're gonna land in a squat. So hands are gonna come down in front of us as you slide the feet a little farther apart and slide your toes out. You might need, if you have a block, you might need to put a block underneath your pelvis for support. So hands, if they can, come to heart center, palms pressed together, really press the elbows into the inner thighs. Gaze is straight ahead or maybe slightly down, full breath. And if your heels are not on the mat, that's fine. Your heels can be lifted. That's perfectly okay. If you have a blanket, you're also welcome to roll a blanket, slide it under your heels. And so from here, we're simply just going to find a seat. So go ahead and lower your bum to the mat or roll over, whatever is accessible to you. And we're gonna roll over into a child's pose. You guys have been doing a lot of standing poses. So go ahead and find either puppy or child's pose, whatever restful pose is good for you. And go ahead and land there now and take about 5 to 6 rounds of breath. If you're in child's pose, you're welcome to create a pillow with your hands, or your arms can extend in front of you, palms pressing down. And check in, revisit the breath. Noticing how it's changed. Maybe you do a mental check-in as well, noticing what has changed with your thoughts, with your emotions. Really settle into the mat, melt your forehead. And feel your sacrum sinking into the mat. Notice what else you can soften. And when you're feeling ready, go ahead and slide your hands back under your shoulders to help you rise all the way up. I'm going to find a tabletop as a transition place. So go ahead and face the top of your mat here. And we'll tuck our toes and lift our hips for downward facing dog again. And so now we're just going to add the standing poses and turn it into more of a sequence flow here. So we're going to inhale, lift the right leg all the way up to the ceiling here and bend the knee and open the hip here. So your hips are going to be stacked. We're aiming to get there. Perfect. Next in breath, go ahead and draw the knee towards your chest and keep going as the foot lands at the top of the mat in between the hands. Lower that back knee, untuck the back toes, coming back to that Anjaneyasana. Let's inhale, lift our arms up. Stay here for a breath. Soften the shoulders down. And draw your low belly in and up. Hips are square to the top of the mat. Let's exhale, float the hands down. Preparing for that high lunge. Tuck your back toes, lift your back leg. Keep your gaze straight ahead as you power up that back leg. Exhale, moving to warrior two. So pivot that back heel down, rise all the way up to warrior two. You might need to adjust your stance. Gaze is over those front fingertips. Hips are square to the long edge of the mat. Notice how you're feeling here. And then let's exhale, move to side angle. So go ahead and bring that right arm to the top of the thigh or down to the ground. Top arm can extend overhead. Let's inhale, rise all the way up, straightening that front leg. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn those right toes towards the long edge of the mat, and we're gonna hinge forward here. Stay here for 2 breaths. I'm just enjoying this place of rest, and notice if there's room to restore. When you're ready, we'll inhale, root your feet to rise all the way up. Hands can land on your hips. We're gonna do triangle with the right side first. So if you have that block, slide that block next to your right ankle here. Let's inhale, extend our arms out. And then we'll exhale, fold into triangle. So bringing that right hand to your shin or block. Being mindful, keeping the torso open. Both sides of the torso are long here. Inhale, moving to half moon. So you guys know where we're going. Slide the block forward if you need to. Top hand comes on the hip. And gaze stays down as you bend the front knee, slide the back foot forward, and lift the back leg. Strong here. Flexing that left foot. Hips stack here. Top arm can stay on your hip or extend up. Fingertips reach towards the sky. Press into the 4 corners of your right foot to help you ground. Nice job, everyone. Exhale, float the top hand down to meet the right as you square your hips to the mat here. So this is standing splits. Keep your left leg lifted. Maybe you spread your toes. Maybe the right hand grabs your calf or your ankle. Tuck your chin if you can, drawing that forehead closer and closer to your shin. Exhale, when you're ready, step back to pyramid. So bending that front knee, stepping the left foot towards the back of the mat. Maybe you slide the left foot forward, play around with this stance, and fold when you're ready. Next in breath, we'll lift that back heel and float the back foot to meet the right at the top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold forward for Uttanasana. Here we're going to take just a small break. So if you need to widen your stance, you can. Maybe you grab opposite elbows, but we're going to stay folded forward for 3 breaths here, just so we can rest a little bit. You can bend the knees to any extent that is good for your body. And when you're ready, we'll go ahead and step back to downward facing dog. So we're flowing through that sequence one more time on the left side. So go ahead and lift your left leg all the way to the sky. When you're ready, bend the knee, open the hip, stacking the hips. Inhale, draw the knee towards the chest. Keep going until the foot lands at the top of the mat in between the hands. Lower the back knee, Anjaneyasana on this side. Let's inhale, lift the arms out and up. One breath here. Soften the shoulder blades down away from your ears. Exhale, float the hands down. Tuck the back toes, lift the back leg, high lunge. When you're ready, go ahead and pivot that back heel down, rising through warrior two. One full breath here. And exhale, side angle when you're ready. Top arm extends over your ear. Gaze can be up or down. Inhale, go ahead and lift your hands all the way up, straighten that front leg, and we're gonna do a forward fold here. So go ahead and hinge at your hips, last forward fold. One more breath here. And when you're ready, inhale, root your feet to rise all the way up. Hands come to your hips. Last time on the left side for that triangle half moon sequence. So slide your block behind your left ankle if you're going to use it. Pivot your left toes towards the top of the mat as you inhale to extend your arms out. Exhale, go ahead and find triangle. So bring that left hand down to your shin or block. One more breath here, keeping both sides of the torso long, creating lots of space in your rib cage, room to breathe. And exhale, float the top hand down. As we move to half moon, so slide the block or your hands a few inches towards your pinky toe. As you slide the back foot forward, lift onto the heel, bend the front knee as you lengthen and lift that right leg all the way up, keeping your right foot flexed. Your hand can always stay on your hip. It's always an option. Your fingers reach up towards the ceiling here. Hips are stacked. Four corners of your left foot rooting into the mat. Both legs are strong. As you exhale, float that top hand down, square your hips. Standing splits. One last time. Keep that leg lifted, toes spread, drawing your chin towards your chest as your forehead comes closer to your shin. Take a second to notice where you can soften. And let's exhale. Bend the left leg as you step back to pyramid, Urdhva. Use your blocks if you need to. Slide your back foot forward. Maybe you slide your toes out, whatever's best for your body, and hinge, folding as far as you would like. And focusing on you and what your body feels like, not focusing on what's happening around us or what others are doing. On your next inhale, go ahead and lift your back heel and step the back foot forward to meet the left at the top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. And let's inhale, root your feet to help you rise all the way up. And then moving to chair. So exhale, we're gonna sink our hips back, really bend the knees. And instead of staying here, we're gonna keep going again until we land in that Malasana squat. So go ahead and slide your toes out. Maybe you spread your heels apart as you come into that squat. There's always room for a block underneath the pelvis if need be. Hands press together. Take a breath here. And when you're ready, go ahead and we'll come to a seat. So help the bum find the mat in some way. And then we're going to roll over to table. Preparing for our cool down. So from table, we're going to move to pigeon. So go ahead and you're going to bring your right knee towards the top of the mat. And your shin is going to angle about 45 degrees here. You might need a prop underneath your hips, so a blanket or a block if there's some space here. You can go ahead and slide your left leg towards the back of the mat here. Just reposition. And when you're ready, if you want to turn this into a quad stretch, go ahead and if you would like, again, if your quads are really loud, that's okay too. But you're going to bend that left leg and then your hand is going to catch at the ankle here if this is not too much. If it is, don't do it. So maybe do a couple pumps here or stay in stillness. And when you're ready, go ahead and release the leg. And we're going to come to sleeping pigeon. So go ahead and continue lowering the body towards the mat. You can, if you have a block, you can place a block underneath the forehead, or you can land your forearms on a block. We're going to take 5 rounds of breath here. Really settling in, making any small movements that the body needs. Noticing if our thoughts are interfering with your ability to stay focused on the present moment. Not judging that, but aiming to let them float away rather than attaching to them. And when you're ready, go ahead and press into your palms to help you rise back up. And then we're just going to switch legs from here. So go ahead and tuck the back toes, lift the back leg as you transition to the other side. So drawing that left knee towards the top of the mat, and it can land at about the shin can be at about a 45-degree angle. Your left hand is going to press inside that knee. Again, if you want to do that quad stretch, feel free, reaching around, catching the ankle. Maybe you do 3 to 4 pumps or stay still, trying to keep your shoulders and hips square to the top of the mat. And when you're ready, exhale to release the leg. And we'll go ahead and find tabletop. So go ahead and tuck the back toes, lift the back leg, reposition into table. And then from here, we're just going to roll over to find a seat. So Sukhasana to start. And 2 options here. I'm going to start in Buddha Konasana, which is where our feet are going to be pressing together. You're welcome to stay here if you would like to try fire log pose, which is a really good outer hip opener. You're welcome to go there. I do recommend sitting on a blanket, especially if you have any sensitivity in the feet or the ankles. So if you want to try this, you could go ahead and draw your right leg in first and place the left foot, the left ankle on top of that right knee. So you're essentially keeping the shins stacked as both feet are flexed. So If you're doing this, you're welcome to stay upright, or if you want to turn this into a fold, you can fold. A lot of us are going to have some space here, so a block or a blanket would be good for that as well. So even if you're in Buddha Konasana, you're welcome to stay upright, or maybe you fold forward. So you decide. 2 breaths wherever you are. And notice if your body is not unhappy, please make modifications. And go ahead and inhale to rise back up, and we'll do the other side. If you were doing this fire log pose, so you would draw the left leg in and place that right ankle on top of the left knee, keeping the feet flexed, shins stacked parallel to one another. This is quite a bit. So again, you might need a block underneath the right knee. Stay here or fold forward if you want. 2 breaths here. And when you're ready, we'll go ahead and uncross the legs, and we'll find a way to our back. So we're not moving to Shavasana quite yet, but we're almost there. So get comfortable on your back. Bend at your knees here, and we're going to do a bridge. So your heels are going to come as close to the glutes as you can here. And as you press into your heels, lift your hips, rising to bridge. Your arms are going to come to your sides, palms pressing into the mat here. Just lift your hips as far as they want to go. And just stay here 2 to 3 breaths. And when you're ready to come out, slowly come down vertebrae by vertebrae. And when you're ready, go ahead and draw your knees towards your chest. Give them a squeeze. Maybe rock side to side or do some circles. And we'll take just a twist, whatever variation is good for you. You're welcome to windshield wiper your knees back and forth here, as slow or as fast as you want. Or if there's another supine twist that you prefer, feel free to go there. Staying as long as you want on each side, listening to what your body needs versus what I'm telling you. And maybe you end in happy baby or another posture. Whatever feels good for you, feel free to try. And when you're ready, feel free to slide into your shape for Shavasana. So any props are useful. Maybe you put a blanket underneath the head or even a blanket on top of your hips to help ground. Make sure you're warm enough. So maybe you need to put on your clothes or anything else. Just settling into the mat, settling into stillness. Getting out any fidgets before this time of rest. Notice how you can become even 5 to 10% more comfortable. How can you get there? Go ahead and reconnect with the breath if you already haven't. Once again, checking in with your body's physical energy and your emotional energy. Inviting softness all over, starting at the crown of the head. And see if you can soften your skull. Soften the creases in your forehead. Soften the space around your temples. Soften your cheeks, your cheekbones. Unclench your jaw. Soften your lips. See if you can part your 2 rows of teeth and soften your tongue. Soften the muscles in your neck. Soften your shoulders. Feel the weight of them helping you settle deeper into the mat. Soften your arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your hands, your fingers. Soften your upper back, your mid back, your low back. Soften your abdomen. Notice if it was clenching. Soften your hips, your glutes, your thighs, your knees. Soften your calves, your shin bones, your ankles, your toes, even every single toe. See if you can soften them. Maybe you soften the soles of your feet. And as you feel the weight of your eyelids, notice where else you can soften. Where else can you release and let go? Whether that's mental or physical or emotional. My voice will fade away for a few minutes, but I will bring you back when the time is right. Go ahead and take 5 more rounds of breath. And when your body is ready, begin to make some small intuitive movement. Leave the eyes closed. And when you're ready, you can roll to your right side, creating a pillow with your right arm. Take a second before you rise. And when you're ready, go ahead and begin to press yourself up. Find a seat. Whatever comfortable seat is good for you. Sukhasana. Legs crossed, maybe not. And maybe you take the time to thank your breath, thank your body for being here, continuing to support you, continuing to serve you. I will leave you with namaste. The light in me honors the light in each one of you. Thanks for being here. This was my first time teaching, so I appreciate all the grace that you guys provided me. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Namaste. Holler at me if you have questions or concerns or feedback. It's great to have you all here in person.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to my friends online. Namaste. Yeah, it's the mic.